You're wondering where I'm from. I'll tell you. I long for misty memories of my youth in Dundrum town, and of strolling through the clover in the early morning dew. And I dreamed of dear old Dundrum and her hills of golden brown. Ah, but I am just a Jewish boy from Flatbushy Avenue. No, I'd never been to Dundrum, didn't know if it was real, but I dreamed of it on days when I had nothing else to do. But I learned to fake and pass and shoot and pitch and bunt and steal. I never was content to be from Flatbushy Avenue. So when I went off to school where no one knew me from before, I was glad to have the chance to clear my slate and start anew. So I changed my way of talking, and I changed the things I wore, hoping no one would suspect I was from Flatbush Avenue. But I sang a song of Dundrum that put tears in people's eyes, and through me they learned to love the place and long to be there too. I began to half forget the truth and half believe me lies, and I wondered if I really was from Flatbush Avenue. Well, there is a place called Dundrum, and 'twas there they heard me song, and though they did not remember me, they thought me words were true. They invited me to Dundrum, said, "Come back where you belong." But the passport people learned I was from. When I arrived in Ireland, I was greeted by a crowd, and the sky above was smiling in a lovely shade of blue. When I saw the signs for Dundrum, I felt warm and safe and proud. Then I suddenly recalled I was from. Well, the folks from Dundrum greeted me and claimed me as their own. When they asked me where my house was, I did not know what to do. I decided then and there that I should let the truth be known, and I told them that I really was from. I told them that the world was just a dot upon the sky, and it really does depend a lot upon your point of view. And the song I sang of Dundrum was not meant to be a lie, but my praises could as well apply to. So if ever I am captured by a creature from afar, and they ask me of my homeland in a candid interview, I will tell them of a planet on a distant yellow star, and a street upon that planet known as. You could probably figure out I'm really not from Ireland and Dundrum. How about Flatbush Avenue? You think I'm from there? Maybe. Well, I'm not, but my friend Bob Blue, who wrote that song, that's where he's from. So, but before I leave the Irish brogue completely behind, I'll do a song for you here that you know this from when you were a child. It's a classic fairy tale about the princess and the frog. You remember that little ditty? Okay, but we're going to give it a little bit of a treatment with the help of a wonderful songwriter, Michael Peter Smith, and we'll see how he has taken a different angle on that. One day a beautiful princess was walking on the bog on a slab of peat. Who should she meet but Fred the talking frog? Well, top of the morning to you, lass, what a welcome sight you be. I'd be glad, you know, if you stop below and listen close to me. You see, I've been bewitched, and I'm needing a royal miss, such as your lovely self, to give this ugly mug a kiss. Such a metamorphosis will then ensue, I tell you true, for I'm really a formal prince, and I'll straightway marry you. To me rightful, Johnny go there, I'm higgledy-piggledy, down and around to me high-low, harum and scarum, riding a white horse to Cranberry Town, to me toady, sometimes I get bloaty, whining on dining on bog juice and bugs. For to dance by the sea with a princess and me on a cheery Sunday morning. But I've heard that song and that dance before, and you tell it very fine. But if it's a kiss you're after, well, you'll have to stand in line. For there's frogs outside me father's castle, frogs inside the royal hall. Frogs is climbing through the window, frogs is bouncing off the wall. Frogs is floating on the moat and up the stairs and on the shelf. If I had to kiss every one of you, lordy, I'd have no time for myself. But laddie, let's make it swift, for lately falls the hour from due at home from an evening shift of pining in the tower. To me rightful, Johnny go darum, higgledy-piggledy, down and around to me high-low, harum and scarum. Let's take the carriage to Cranberry Town, to me toady, don't need a floaty when lily pads are just a hop skip away, for to dance by the sea with a frog prince and me on a cheery Sunday morning. Well, she's just about to kiss him, when Mrs. Frog comes hopping by. Said, "Fred, you're late for supper." "Coming, dear," was his reply. "You mean he's not bewitched?" "Just odd," says Mrs. Frog. "And infant kissing princesses he meets upon the bog." "And though I love me, Fred, I fear he chafes at family ties. I'd invite you home for supper, me dear, but we only have 2 flies." "Thank God you didn't kiss him. Today's your lucky day. Till I kiss Fred, I was a princess too. That's how I got this way. To me rightful, rightful, Johnny go daddum, higgledy-piggledy, down and around to me, high-low, Herman scared, dancing a jig down to Cranberry Town. To me toady, toady, don't call him grody when he's fishing for kisses from princesses' lips, for to dance on a bog with an impostor frog on an Irish misty morning, for to dance by the sea with a faux prince and me on a bleary Sunday morning, for to dance by the sea with 2 princesses and me on a cheery Sunday morning. So, I have a hobby of taking songs and stories that you're familiar with and giving them a little bit of a twist. I adulterate children's music. So I'm a professional adulterator, okay. So here is a song that may be you know this song, you all know this. Actually, it might even be the very first song you learned as a little person. You knew all the words and all the movements, and you'll recognize it immediately. I'm a little how does it go again? You know how it goes? I'm a little here is my handle. No. I'm a sugar bowl. That's not the way it goes, right? No. The way I'm about to do it isn't the way it goes either. This is a different version written by a woman who calls herself Uncle Ruthie, which I think is a really cool name for a woman. And she titles her version of this song the Earthquake Song. So can you hazard a guess as to where in the United States Uncle Ruthie lives? California. Of course. So we're going to put her teapot inside a little music box. And some of you, women particularly, might remember having a music box when you were a little girl. And you wound up the bottom, and what was inside? Yeah, doing that? Okay. Well, let's see what would happen if we took this teapot and put it inside a music box and how that will affect the words, okay? I'm a little ugly pink teapot. I was a gift from your Aunt Dot. I didn't lose my handle or my spout when the cupboard opened and I fell out. Dee 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 dee. Dee 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 dee. There's no need to tell me I was not exactly your favorite teapot. Every time you made a cup of tea, you used a pot, but it wasn't me. Dee 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 dee. I felt a little sorry for myself, hidden away on the highest shelf. Dusty and despised, I'd never known the company of a tart or scone. Dee 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 dee. Early in the morning came a roar, and I went flying to the floor. Lying in the rubble of the quake, the only thing that did not break. Dee 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 dee. Through the broken crystal and the glass, I saw you pause as you did pass. Then I heard you sigh as you looked at me. I sure could use a cup of tea. Dee 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 dee. I'm a little teapot, strong and pink. Now I pour all the tea you drink. Maybe there's a lesson here for you. If I survived, then you can too. So now, let's do another adulterated version of an adult song. And you all know who made this song famous. His nickname was Old Blue Eyes. Oh, of course, Frank Sinatra. He put his stamp on this song. It's called Strangers in the Night. Remember that one? Yeah. Okay, well, let's say we take that same song and we put it in a wholly different environment. Perhaps a fancy French cafe. Now, for those of you who used to be fans of Prairie Home Companion, there was a fancy French cafe often featured in those stories. Do you remember the name of that place? Café Boeuf! Oui, mange bien sûr! Now, for extra bonus points, do you remember the name of the maitre d' at Café Boeuf? Ooh, gonna stump you all? How about Maurice? Ah oui! So let's pretend Maurice has just served me the soup du jour, and with the help of Alan Sherman, who you might remember him from songwriting days, we're going to see how this setting might affect the words of this song. I've just been served the soup du jour by the maitre d'. Merci. Strangers in my soup. That's what I found there, little tiny things that swim around there. Looking down, I see them looking up at me. Strange things can be seen. They're scattered sparsely, small things that are green, but are not parsley. In my soup they've made their little aquacade. Soup was meant to be complete of three of things, extraneous debris, except for now and then some noodles or some rice. But these things are not nice. See them swimming, thrashing, thriving. Holy smokes, they're scuba diving. In my bouillabaisse, I looked and then I saw a tiny face with two antennae, and I heard him say, "Well, the soup is good day." I let out a whoop. I hollered, "Waiter, there are strangers in my soup." And when he came, I said, "Now I'm a connoisseur. I ordered soup du jour." And he said, "Look, I'm just a waiter. You need an exterminator." So you're a connoisseur. I knew you dug soup. You ordered soup du jour. Today it's bug soup. That explains the group of strangers in your soup. Okay. Some people were talking to me before, and they remembered, "Hey, don't you live in Maine?" I said, "Yeah, well, I did for a really long time." And Saturday, I'm going back to my old stomping grounds on Mount Desert Island. Oh, very big. Yeah. So this next song is kind of inspired by that setting here. When I lived in Maine, I got invited to perform for a very specific organization. It was the Wild Blueberry Association of North America. They wanted me to do a show for them, and there was so I was glad to do that. And I ended up writing a whole show about blueberries for them. And one of the songs, it doesn't need to be a specific, professional trade organization. I think it works for everybody. So I'm going to need your help in this song, because you're going to recognize the original tune from a classic movie, and you're going to fill in the missing musical interlude. So a little setup for this. Blueberries are a major industry in Maine, but they're really small, and they haven't ever made a fancy big picking machine like combines to harvest blueberries. They still basically have to be done, one person. And if you try to pick blueberries one at a time, that's a lot of work. But someone invented a tool, handheld tool, that really revolutionized blueberry picking and made it possible to actually have a commercial industry from blueberries. Who was it that created this tool? It must have been a genius little person. And I'm hypothesizing maybe it was a long time ago. Maybe it was a little Native American girl. And she was watching all the other people pick blueberries and getting their fill, and she wasn't quite able to keep up with them, but she came up with an idea, and she invented a tool. And that tool is what transformed the blueberry industry here. Well, that's an idea, but we'll give it a try. Though I'm not the fastest picker, I could be a lot more quicker with a tool that I could make help me. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. With my super scooper power, I'd pick more than N per hour if I only had a rake. It'd be like a giant comb, then the barrens I would roam, it would be a piece of cake. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. With every time I set those teeth in, my yield I'd be increasing if I only had a rake. Oh, I'd propose a race and put the other pickers in their place. When they tried in vain to keep up with my pace, they concede that I was ace. Though they might not think it just, all of them could eat my dust. I'd leave them in my wake. I need offer no apology with my appropriate technology if I only had a rake. Being so clever and wise, the harvest I would revolutionize. I might even go as far as to surmise that I should win a Nobel Prize. I'd be like a fast machine, the Hall of Fame I'd surely be in, world records I would break. With this tool I'd have an edge and become a down east legend if I only had a rake. What the heck, I'm going to do this piece here next. We'll go back to a kid's song. And if you might have had kids or grandkids who knew this song from watching Sesame Street, I think it was Elmo's favorite bath time song. Can you guess what it is? Yes! And if you know it, you can sing along with me, right? All right. It's a beautiful song. And then I'm going to tell you why I'm singing the original first, and then we're going to have some fun with it. Rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of you. Boop, boop-be-doo. Rubber ducky, joy of joys. When I squeeze you, you make noise. Let's hear it. Rubber ducky, you're my very best friend, it's true. Every day when I make my way to the tubby, I find a little fella who's cute and yellow and chubby. Rub-a-dub-dubby, rubber ducky, you're so fine. I'm so lucky that you're mine. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of. Rubber ducky, I like a whole pound of. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of. I'm sorry. We interrupt this regularly scheduled bath time to bring you this latest breaking news report that actually came across your television screen in 1992. It's a true fact here. You know, you can guess where they make all this stuff, right? All this junk? Yeah. So how do they get here? Boat. They have to be here boat. These huge container ships, you know? And they went from China to a port in Washington of Tacoma. That's where they landed. And there was a rough crossing one time, and this big container ship, which had one container full of like 20,000 rubber duckies, and it experienced some high seas. And what happened? Do you remember this? I'm not making it up. It happened. A container fell off the ship, busted open, and the fate of these beloved toys were at the mercy of the tides and the waves. And what happened to them all? Oh, you know. And an oceanographer did a study to find out where they ended up, because they actually learned a lot from the currents of the study went, and they put all the findings in a scientific tome that you think I'm making this up, but if you can come on stage and I'll prove it. I didn't make this up. This beautiful book about the true story of 28,000 bath toys lost at sea, and the beachcombers, oceanographers, environmentalists, and fools, including the authors who went in search of them. And I love the title of this book. Moby Duck. So if you want to find out what happened to all those rubber duckies, you can read it, or you can just listen to my parody of the song. All right? In 92, some Chinese junk bound for Tacoma almost sunk. Containers of cargo were busted up and set free out on the sea. 20,000 yellow toys on the waves they bobbed and buoyed. A rubber duck navy accidentally was deployed. Here's my little rubber ducky sailors there. They weren't fishing, but had a mission to free us from all our cares and woes, friendly floaties to glee us. Tweedledee-us, rubber duckies washed ashore from Hawaii to Singapore. Rubber duckies were showing up everywhere, from Scotland to Delaware. They were in bottles with a note, but goodwill envoys that could float. A rubber duck flotilla even made it to Peru. They won't make you sick like a toxic orange agent. But Agent Yellow is a secret fellow who was sent. Here's my little secret Agent Ducky there. Rubber duckies for miles and miles. Everywhere they landed, they brought smiles. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of. Rubber ducky, I like a whole pond of. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of you. So let's stay on the ocean for a while and do a couple ocean-related things here. But first I'm going to ask you, what's the first thing you think of when I say the word chivalry? Knights in shining armor, right. So I'm proposing that the chivalry is alive and well on the high seas. Because any ship captain that's worth his salt knows that if his ship is in trouble and there might be a need to save his passengers, he is going to make an order, and he's going to ask them to disembark. And it's interesting, that word disembark comes from the fact that ships used to be called barks. So if you disembark, you get off the boat. So when he makes that order, who are the first people who are ordered off the boat? The women and children. That's right. That is chivalry classic. And after they're all safe, then other people go. And the last person to get off that boat is the captain, you know, and if it's not, he's going to go down with the ship. That's just the unwritten law of the seas, you know. Any captain, the good captain knows that, except for Francesco Schettino. Remember him? He was the captain who ran his cruise ship aground in Tuscany, and all his passengers were drowning, and somehow he accidentally fell off his boat into the lifeboat, you know, as he was helping that. Yeah, right. I don't think that's going to wash in the course, sir. Okay, well, interesting sidebar to that story is that Winston Churchill, who had many occasions to cross the puddle during his statesmanship, always preferred taking the Italian ships. And people couldn't figure that out. I mean, he's English, and the Queen's fleet, those are the finest boats in the whole world. What's the deal with the Italian ships? Is it the food? No. It's because the Italian captains don't believe all that crap about women and children first. 80-some years later, I guess it's proven true, right? Anyhow, well, I'm also suggesting that chivalry is not confined to the human species, as is evidenced by this song that was written well over 100 years ago, 120 years ago, by Wallace Irwin, and it proposes another chivalrous creature, which is also the name of this piece. The most chivalrous fish of the ocean, to ladies forbearing and mild, though his record be dark, is the man-eating shark, who'll eat neither woman nor child. He dines upon seamen and skippers, and tours his hunger assuage, and a fresh cabin boy will inspire him with joy if he's past maturity age. I prefer a little gristle like Bob's there. A doctor, a lawyer, a preacher, he'll gobble one any fine day, but the ladies, God bless them, he'll only address them politely, then go on his way. I can readily cite you an instance where a lovely young lady from Bream, who is tender and sweet and delicious to eat, fell into the bay with a... You actually have to do it. It's a scream-along song. She floundered and flounced in the water, then signaled in vain for her bark. Bark! Bark! And she'd surely been drowned if she hadn't been found by a chivalrous man-eating shark. He bowed in a manner most polished, thus soothing her impulses wild. Don't be frightened, he said, I've been properly bred. Will eat neither woman nor child. And he proffered his fin, and she took it. Such gallantry none can dispute, and the passengers cheered as the vessel it neared, and a broadside was fired in salute. And they soon stood alongside the vessel, and a life-saving dinghy was lowered with a pick of her crew and the relatives too, and the mate and the skipper aboard. And they hauled her up in a jiffy, and the shark stood attention the while. Then he rose on his flipper and ate up the skipper and swam away with a smile. This proves that the prince of the ocean, to ladies forbearing and mild, though his record be dark, is the man-eating shark who'll eat neither woman nor child. All right, so let's stay in the water here. Has anybody heard of a very famous food writer named MFK Fisher? Yes, yes. Brilliant writer. I mean, she was really celebrated. And she wrote a really eloquent essay called The Life and Death Among the Mollusks. And my friend Martin Swinger looked at that essay and said, oh man, there's a song in here. And so he wrote a song based on all he learned from this essay by MFK Fisher. And I've had my way interpreting Martin Swinger's version of this. And there's a lot to learn from it. What are we going to learn from these low-life creatures? Well, let's listen and find out. When you're feeling stuck and under lots of pressure, and you're sucking mud, not getting anywhere, surely hard times are a curse, but things could almost be less worse. Consider the oyster for a moment, if you dare. The oyster lives a dangerous and stressful life. In fact, his chance to live at all is mighty slim. It can affect only one fate, to end life on someone's plate. Until that, his prospects are pretty grim. But why call him a he, except for clarity? A normal oyster never knows from year to year whether he or she reversing sexuality to neither masculine nor feminine is clear. When he's a she, her energies are purely feminine. A single summer season in her prime, she'll spawn 1,000,000 eggs with ease, and larvae squiggling through the seas, and then become a he again. As if she'd only changed her mind. In 14 days, the larva speeds through adolescence. She escapes the hungry fishies swimming by, and as she floats, she grows 1 foot and some cement to keep her put. And if she thought it all, she'd truly wonder why. And if perchance she bumps into a clean, hard object, our lucky spat attaches firmly to this home. She hopes to hide from prying eyes until she grows into some size, but she is stuck forever, never more to roam. She hopes that staying put will bring her safety, but extermination lurks with every tide. She lies immobile as a rock while enemies are taking stock. There is no running off and nowhere else to hide. A hungry starfish wraps his arms around an oyster, like a hideous lover forcing shells apart, thrusts his stomach in between, creating quite an ugly scene, digesting oyster, sushi, tartare a la carte. And a host of other dangers all around her. There's a boring sponge, and then the oyster drill. There's a leech in a black drum, which to an oyster could succumb, and even hungry ducks are known to eat their fill. Quack, 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 quack. If she escapes the... If she escapes the duck, leech, boar, drill, and starfish, she must surrender when she's harvested and bought. Then a human cracks her up, using her half shell as a cup, and slips her slimy living body down his throat without a thought. Hey, what you doing tonight, baby, huh? So when you think you're at your lowest, life is over. Because the oyster has 1 foot and you have 2. You can get yourself out of, you can kick yourself in the butt, get out of that rut, and make the most of life that God has given you. And there's so much awful things going on there. There's disembowelment and this gender bending, all this. And at the end, it's still kind of a inspiring, uplifting. Hey, thank you, sir. I could use one of these. Chivalry. All right, there it comes back again. Hey, there's a song I've never done in my life before. I'm just learning. A friend of mine, this oyster piece has been in my repertoire for a while. And I was on Zoom with some colleagues for a while, and one of them shared this song. And I could not believe the brilliance of this song. And I had to go accompany this piece. It's a love song. An oyster love song. How perfect is that? So let's see if I can do this piece justice. Judy Thomas wrote this. And the interesting thing about when she wrote this, she's older than me now, I think, but she wrote it when she was 14 years old. And what inspired her to write it? Her biology teacher. He was, as she says even now, he was so cute and handsome. She had a wicked crush on this guy. And to get his attention, she wrote all these beautiful stories based on the lesson plans. And this is one of the ones she wrote. Put a little grain of sand inside of me, girl, and I'll make a pearl for you. Irritate my outer epidermis, and I will lovingly try and do the trick that every oyster knows from Miami Beach. to groovy Malibu. With molluscan agility and oysterish ability, I'll make a pearl for you. When you scooch by, I don't wink my eye, 'cause oysters cannot see. But you, I don't care if the eyes aren't there. You're an oyster just like me. Say that I am your oyster guy, and answer my fervent prayer. If you want another pearl, I'm sure I can handle 2 in my mantle layer. Let's go down where the water is dark and the sun is a spark above. Then we'll be ecstatic from our horny to prismatic layers. We'll be in love. Who would imagine an oyster love song like that? Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to do another love song here. Oh, and we're going to go back to Maine. But the thing that confuses me a little bit about country western music is that a term, the original term, country western. You know, maybe they had western roots, these songs, but where are they recording all this beautiful country music nowadays? Tell me? It's relatively, what side of that country is that on? So I think there should be another genre of music, you know, based on that, and we're going to call it country eastern music, of course. And what's the most easternmost state? Maine. So we're going to put it in Maine, particularly the northern part of the state. Now, the northern part of the state, if you're not familiar with this, it's Aroostook County takes up half the state of Maine. It's enormous. It's bigger than some other states. It's huge. And Mainers don't call it Aroostook County. If you want to Google this for me too, but they shorten it. It's just, anyone knows, if you're talking about, what do you say it's just? Anybody know? The county. The county. Everybody knows you're talking about Aroostook, the county. So you might know that there's it's an agricultural economy there. They have one specific crop they're famous for. And that's going to be key to understanding this next piece. But one thing you might not know, and you do need to know before I launch into it, is for the typical Aroostook County farmer, English is not their first language. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of bilingualism in this next piece, but I think you'll still be able to figure it out. So I'm going to sing you a song, a love song about the potato farmer's point of view. Yeah. Okay, in the voice of the Aroostook County farmer, I'm going to share what I think could have been the chart-busting song on the County Eastern hit list. The County Eastern hit list, the Country Eastern, County Eastern, that's what we'll call it. I'm no slick cham, I'm just simple farmer, and I sure like to make things grow. One thing in specific, it sure ain't beatific, but it's one that you all know. It grows underground and it's more or less round. The skin is brown or red, but when you take a bite, the inside's white, and it keeps a lot of people fed. If you add what you eat, the spud'll make you sweet, and you can be sweet on me. And if you add what you grow, there's one thing I know, a spud is what I'm gonna be. Mr. Potato Head, but you can call me Fred, and Wilma, my love is true. And if you'll be my missus, I'll even do the dishes, 'cause I only have eyes for you. I'm not a chauvinistic pig, though I like to dig. Some people think I'm not too bright. I'm no dictator, only a commentator. Just like Walter Cronkite. You get it, commentator? I'm just a simple tuba, ain't no gooba. So will you meet me under the hill, holding you so tight all through the night? We'll keep away the evening chill. I like to reap what I sow. I'm good with a hoe. There's no point in being chased, 'cause if the root ain't planted, I've heard it ranted that the furrow goes to waste. They say make hay while it shines. Well, the weather is fine, so quick before we're dead and gone. You got sweet tomatoes, I go frying potatoes. Let's call the whole thing on. I live in Aroostook. My lifestyle's rustic, but I know the finer things in life, and there's nothing better than this whenever we kiss. So please, won't you be my wife? With our marriage license in order, we'll cross the border dressed up as groom and bride. And when asked if you'll chime, "Mais oui!" And then we'll celebrate and get French fried. When we leave the county, I'll be your royal mountie, as they say en Québécois. No need for ménage à toi. Encore une fois, toi et moi faisons vichysoise. Ouh là là, c'est magnifique. Je suis une pomme de terre et je suis ton cher et je dis ce que vous voudrez faire. And for you Anglophiles, just have to wait a while. Nous faisons les bons temps roulés. When we get back home, there's no need to roam. We'll keep the cupboard fully stashed. When you get the desire, I'll just light your fire. We'll kick back and just get mashed. And as we age, we'll ferment and get all bent and maybe go deaf or blind. But to me, you're the most. So I'll raise this toast. We'll make vodka of the finest kind. They say make hay while it shines. Well, the weather is fine, so quick before we're dead and gone. You got sweet tomatoes? I have to go find potatoes. Let's call the whole thing on, 'cause I'm your potato head. But you can call me Fred and Wilma, my love is true. And all I want to say until my darling day is, Dallin, this bud's for you. I tell you, I haven't performed live in 6 months, so this is a really treat for me. Okay, I was wondering whether I was going to have the courage to do this piece because I knew it was going to be a senior audience, and hey, I qualify, you know. And I remember being really shocked when I had a kind of a dope slap to realize that I was getting older. I was approaching my half-century milestone, and I got a letter in the mail. You know what letter that was? Right on the day. How did they know? I couldn't believe I was that old. And it got me thinking about things. And now I'm definitely, I'll qualify for seniorhood, but I wrote this song after I received that little letter from AARP. And some of you might relate to this, because I certainly relate to this. And I wasn't sure I was going to do this piece, so we'll see if I can pull this one out. When I can't recall familiar names and numbers, and I feel sometimes I'm lost in hazy slumbers. I hate to face the facts, but my memory's getting lax. Odds are I'll remember less tomorrow. Senile, aging man, senile, aging man. Time has done a number and taken away my brain. I used to have a memory like a steel trap. I could get anywhere I want without a road map. I'd like to travel far. But where'd I park the car? Doesn't matter since I've lost the car keys. Help me now. Senile, aging man, senile, aging man. I hesitate to call a cab. I have to tell them where I live. When I see friends, they often ask me, what's new? I tried to hide the fact that I have no clue. I'm careful what I say, or I'll give myself away. Odds are I'll eventually blow my cover. Senile, aging man, senile, aging man. I know you are my old friend, but please help me with your name. I wish I had a mind I could rely on. Damn that stuff we grew and then got high on. When I forget the words, I just whistle like a bird. See now, aging man, see now, aging man. There are spices and vegetables that you might grow. Some grow underground, some grow tall. Though they each have their qualities, this you must know. That the garlic is king of them all. Can you say that with me? The garlic is king of them all. You can use them with poultry, with fish or red meat, or to spice up a vegetable stew. In fact, it enhances each dish that you eat, and it serves as a medicine too. Since biblical times in all places and climes, has it eased countless sufferings and ills. Or if we knew the worth of these cloves so sublime, we would throw out our poisonous pills. On Bulgaria's mountains, on Russia's high plains, people live to 100 years old. It's the juice of the garlic that flows through their veins, or it's worth twice its weight in pure gold. With germanium, selenium, and allicin too, it can fight many types of disease. So if you have arthritis, TB, or the flu, just say, peel me a garlic clove, please. The Egyptians, Phoenicians, the Vikings and Greeks, Babylonians, Danes and Chinese, on their voyages took enough garlic for weeks, and their enemies fell on the breeze. Ingest enough you can wipe out tapeworms, make a spray to protect all your plants, and if you are a person concerned about germs, you can drop one or two in your pants. Or if you're a person afraid of vampires, you can blast them with garlic breath fires. This strong to the nose, it's nicknamed Stinking Rose. But to me, my fondness just grows. If this rose it is strong, it will help you live long. And so it is praised in this song. There are spices and vegetables that you might grow, of all colors, shapes, big and small. By the weight of this evidence, now you must know that the garlic is king of them all. So I'm going to give you a lesson in scat singing, and you're going to have to repeat after me. And you know, okay, you get the idea. So and then I'm also going to add some movements to it, and I'm really going to encourage you to move along because you've been sitting a while, right? So here's a song by Dana Cohenauer, and we'll see if you can put this into your repertoire. I've got a silly little sing-along, swing-along song. It's got a lot of nonsense words, short and long. I kind of make it up as I'm going along. Got a silly little sing-along, swing-along song. Scooby-dooby-doo-bop, squee-bop-a-ree-bop, squiddly-bop-a-ree-ba-da-bop-a-dee-bee-bop. Take your cue from the doobie-doo. Come on, see if you can do it too, and I'm sure you can. You're going to repeat after me. I'm going to tell you what to sing. You're going to copy me. You ready to go? I'm going to say doobie, and you say
Doobie.
doobie, doobie, doobie.
Doobie, doobie, doobie.
Squee-bop,
Squee-bop.
squee-bop-a-ree-bop.
Squee-bop-a-ree-bop.
Bippity,
Bippity.
boppity,
Boppity.
bippity-boppity-bip.
Bippity-boppity-bip.
Bippity-boppity, squee-bop, and doobie-doobie-doobie.
Bippity-boppity, squee-bop, and doobie-doobie-doobie.
Ooh, we love to swing it. There's no way you can ever go wrong. Making up your own silly swing-along song. Throw in just a bit of razzmatazz. Then you have yourself a little thing called jazz. You ready to copy me? Get your hands ready. Swing to the left. Swing to the right. Baby, if you wanna, you can swing it all night. Swing it up high. Swing it down low. Once you got that rhythm, gotta let yourself go. Clap it and snap it and stomp it and shake it. There's no way you can ever go wrong. Making up your own silly swing-along song. Throw in just a bit of razzmatazz. Then you have yourself a little thing called jazz. You ready to put it all together? Words, you got the words and the movements. Can you stand up and try it with me? Copy the movements. All right. We're going to do it. You can do it. You know what to say. Doobie, you say.
Doobie.
Doobie, doobie, doobie.
Doobie, doobie, doobie.
Squee-bop.
Squee-bop.
Squee-bop-a-ree-bop.
Squee-bop-a-ree-bop.
Bippity.
Bippity.
Boppity.
Boppity.
Bippity-boppity-bip.
Bippity-boppity-bip.
Bippity-boppity, squee-bop, and doobie-doobie-doobie.
Bippity-boppity, squee-bop, doobie-doobie-doobie.
Ooh, we love to swing it. There's no way you can never go wrong. Making up your own silly swing-along song. Throw in just a bit of razzmatazz. Then you'll have yourself a little thing called jazz. Okay, let's snap it. Come on, snap it out of there. Then stomp it. And shake it. And clap it. Oh, God. Earlier in the show, I suggested that this song was the first one you learned how to do as a child. Remember that? If it wasn't, I have another best guess of what the candidate might have been for the first song you ever learned. Again, all the words and all the movements, you'll recognize it immediately. She did it for me. Yeah, she got it. All right. So, but do you think I'm going to do it the way you know it? No, of course not. Again, I'm going to have, with the help of Bob Blue, Tom Smith, and myself, we took that song and we used a new tune for it. One that a lot of folkies will recognize from Stan Rogers. Yeah, I hope that Bill's. Yeah. So anyhow, and it's got a rousing chorus. So you're going to be able to sing along on the chorus of this one. And sometimes we think, just like that oyster song, what can we learn from oysters? Hey, what can we learn from little eensy-weensy spiders? Oh, a lot. We're going to plumb the depths of that simple nursery rhyme and see what it has to offer us in our lives, on our journeys, and it is profound. Okay? The eensy-weensy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed that spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain, and the eensy-weensy spider climbed again. She wouldn't let the elements distract her from her goal. The purpose of her struggle was embedded in her soul. Now see the sun shine down on beasts, on women, and on men. Be like that eensy-weensy spider. Rise again, rise again, rise again. Don't let rainstorms deter you from doing what you can. And whether your leg's number 2, can you show me 2? Or 4, or 8, or 10. Be like that eensy-weensy spider. Rise again. Next time that chorus comes by, you can do it with me. This eensy-weensy metaphor is a lesson for us all. We cannot be defeated if we rise each time we fall. And if you think this story is one you've heard too long ago, then think about some other ones you know. You know the myth of Sisyphus. And you know Jack and Jill. It's such a potent image going up and down a hill. So every time you fall, or lose a loved one or a friend, be like that eensy-weensy spider. Rise again, rise again, rise again. Don't let losses deter you from doing what you can. And whether your leg's number 2, or 4, or 8, or 10, be like that eensy-weensy spider. Rise again. Sometimes in life you'll find that there are hurdles in your way. You can find ways to get over or turn and walk away. Mountains turn to molehills if you're not afraid to schlep. The longest climb starts with a single step. Where the wind is blowing at you or kindly at your back. Discouragement is baggage. Faith is what you need to pack. So enjoy the going forward and the progress you have made. Don't let the storms in life rain down on your parade. And rise again, rise again. Don't let hurdles deter you from doing what you can. And whether your leg's number 2, or 4, or 8, or 10, be like that eensy-weensy spider. Rise again. Perhaps you think this allegory goes a bit too far. Climbing a pipe is not like reaching for a star. But whether it's a water spout or mountain that you've climbed, you've come this far. Indulge me one more time. It could be said that each of us climbs up a water spout. The downward pull of gravity is not what it's about. The upward pull of hope is what will save us in the end. Be like that eensy-weensy spider. Rise again, rise again, rise again. Don't let backslides deter you from doing what you can last time. And whether your leg's number 2, or 4, or 8, or 10, be like that eensy-weensy spider. Rise again.